Hey, it's great to be with you tonight in East Central Wisconsin. And yes, I got orientated to your special rivalry that I've watched from afar. We're more college football fans where I come from. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers are in my backyard. But there's just something unique about Saturdays and tailgating. And so not only did I catch Lambeau Field on the front end to pay homage as a sports enthusiast and a sports historian, I want to go see exactly what God was up to in reaching your lives, but also to understand your culture. So I grew up as a Baltimore Colts fan. Johnny Unitas was my hero, and man, Vince Lombardi, his scheme, his players, you know, Unitas was the greatest quarterback of his era, but he hardly could ever get over the mountain of the Green Bay Packers. So to be out there on Lambeau Field yesterday was absolutely awesome. Tomorrow, on the way to the airport, I put in a special request to get to Camp Randall Stadium. Any Badgers in the house? I'm a season ticket holder in Death Valley, South Carolina. I'll be there Saturday for the home opener, and we're looking forward to our season. A lot of prognosticators are picking the two of us to end up in the Final Four. And so let's just move Ohio State off to the side. Let's move Michigan over here. And let's make sure the Badger train runs on the track all year long and be in good shape for us maybe seeing each other in the Final Four. But it's great to be with you tonight. And I'm looking forward to sharing some insights with you. I was a high school coach for 6 years. Had the privilege to be a part of 4 state championship teams. And so we'll share some thoughts about that and some lessons that God gave to us. I want to give a personal note of commendation to Pastor Roger. If you'll stand, please. He's the host pastor here at Edgewood. I know we've got a kingdom gathering tonight, and that's tremendous. We need to lock arms with everybody who gets Jesus right. And as a result of that, are there other pastors with their men this evening? Anybody else that's on the pastoral staff? Would you guys stand, please? And I will also acknowledge you in addition to Pastor Roger. Let's say thank you to these guys. Appreciate the worship team leading us to encounter God's presence, and we're looking forward to seeing now that hopefully your heart is prepared for what God has shared. Pastor Roger gave a tremendous expository message, very, very impacted. A classic passage of Scripture out of Isaiah, and he did a masterful job in his delivery. But you know, it's great to see a pastor, all of you guys, just hanging out with the men tonight. The ministry of hanging out. And so all you pastors, you're off the clock tonight, okay? We just want you to be one of the boys and experience what's going on tonight. But I appreciate you giving up time. These guys are 24/7. And so very rarely do I have a pastor share what Pastor Roger did right before everybody was leaving yesterday. He trumpeted this gathering tonight with his support. And he also came and put some feet to those prayers. So I want you to know how much I was impacted by your message, but I'm also inspired by your model, as well as the other men here tonight. So I'm telling you guys, traveling to 42 states, being in 1,000 churches and gatherings like this is rare. So appreciate your pastor. Allow him to be one of the boys. Pray for him. Come alongside of him and say, Pastor, how can I help carry the vision, ministry, and strategy that God has called this church to commit in this particular region? And so I was raised in a pastor's kid's home, so I always want to give a shout out, but specifically, it's very unique tonight. Now, because I was a high school coach before I was a pastor to men, that's the grid that I come from. I've been coaching men in the game of life for over 3 decades. And so I want to share with you tonight the 2 most important questions you need to answer. If I were to come here on a Sunday and provide pulpit supply, I would take you to the Old Testament and talk to you about the burnt offering. Rekindling the flame is the signature message that I'm known for around the country from an expository standpoint. But tonight, with Pastor Roger's permission and other faithful expositors of the text, I'm going to go topical with you as we talk about these 2 particular gatherings. It's going to be a locker room speech, so we can have a chance to interact. I'm going to come out in the audience occasionally, ask you some questions, and look for some feedback, okay? Because it's a men's-only gathering, and when we have men only, we do things like that. And so I hope that you will have a chance to interact with me. The first thing I want to do, though, is get to know my players. Who is in my locker room tonight? And there are 5 generations I always like to represent. Some places I go, we only have 3 of the 5 generations that's out there. So let's see how you guys do in East Central Wisconsin. First of all, if you were born from 1925 to 1945, would you stand, please? If you're born between 1925 and 1945. momentarily. These guys are known as the radio generation. That was their source of technology. They got their news through the radio, they got their entertainment through the radio, and obviously their music. Eventually LPs came along, but most of the time their music was introduced. This is the radio generation. They're also called the builder generation because they built this country. They had a chance to come back from the war and be involved in farms like you have here and other vocational occupations that allowed them to build this country. And so I always like to salute the senior adults that come out to gatherings like this, and I want to find out the oldest man and the youngest man in the house. If you're 85 or above, would you raise your hand? We got any Caleb's? There we go. How old are you, sir? 92. Can anybody do 92? If you come forward and stand right here, we're going to let you represent that spectrum up there. We got a 92 in the house. Who else can beat 92? Is Moses back there? Okay. Okay, there you go. Exactly. Listen, senior adults, hey, this is extra, no charge for this. You've had a chance to listen to some worship music tonight. And as I travel the country, gentlemen, we don't have time to have worship wars in the modern day era. And so I'll tell you this, it may not be your cup of tea, but it's not your tea party. Focus on the lyrics of the songs, realize the younger generations are going to sing the tunes and have a chance to engage in worship. It's all about encountering His presence. So whether it be a classic hymn of the faith or a modern day worship tune, let's focus on getting vertical. We come in gatherings like this because we don't have any time for wedges to come in and hinder what we can accomplish out there, and then Psalm 133 doesn't happen. So senior adults, set the tone. We need you to mentor. We also need you to model. And so again, it may not be your cup of tea, but it's not your tea party. Thanks for being here tonight. Again, thanks for being here. 1946 to 1964, my generation of baby boomers. Would you stand, please? 46 to 64. We graduated from radio to television. If you were like me, we came home in the afternoon and saw Leave It to Beaver, Andy Griffith, and some nice wholesome shows like that that endorsed family values. A lot of us enjoyed drinking water out of a hose, not out of a water bottle, okay? It was okay to go to the neighbors and get a drink of water in the afternoon. And so the baby boomers, they represent a lot of the leadership that's out there. And while the senior adult population, God is calling them home, guys, you need to be looking behind you, and who's that next generation you need to mentor. So thanks for being here tonight, you baby boomers, the leadership roles you play in churches. But listen, if you pass the baton, take it back and look to run some more laps for the kingdom of God. The second generation, the baby boomers. You be seated. 1965 to 1979. The third generation is the computer generation. These guys introduced the Commodore 64 to us. They had a chance to kind of graduate into some new technology. Things began to move pretty rapidly for them, and so they're having a chance. The problem was, there was a close-knit family with the builders. There was a dual income family for us as boomers, and the family began to be fractured for this group right here. So that's why we need to have the two older generations to come back and mentor and model the faith, specifically understanding what takes place at home. And so you guys introduced technology to us, and you had the builders experience Pearl Harbor. Our generation experienced the Kennedy assassination. You guys experienced the Challenger disaster. So glad to have you guys in the house tonight. A good delegation from this particular third generation. So thanks for being here. You may be seated. 1980 to 1995, the millennials. For the last 5 years, the number one question as I've traveled the country to 42 states, particularly as regards reaching men effectively, how do we connect with the millennials? They speak a different language, they follow a different body clock. You know, the old Saturday morning breakfasts, they're going away, those are dead horses. What do you do with a dead horse? You dismount. These guys either want to go coach the kids on Saturday morning, or they want to sleep in a little bit. And so that particular time frame doesn't work for them. But a lot of places I go, this generation only has a handful. So a pretty decent delegation tonight. But you can see as you look around, the numbers have dropped. So we have work to do. When we talk about reaching men tonight, look around, look for strategic opportunities. It's a new day, but yet still we're carrying old truths that are tried and true in the ancient text as we try to reach the millennials born between 1980 and 1995. The internet generation, the millennials. You can be seated. And then finally, a generation that I'm really investing a lot of time with these days, born between 1996 and 2012. 1996 to 2012. Now, I want to part that. Let's go quickly around the room and just give me your age if you don't mind. 14. 17. Good?
20.
Okay, here.
20.
And the little man in the back on the last row?
Oh, 20.
6. All right. So we were from 6. Where's my 92? Where'd he go? Come up here. I want to have you back here again for this process, okay? Come on, 6. Come up here with me. Generation Z, while these two guys are coming to represent our spectrum this evening, while the church is still grappling with how to reach the millennial generation, now Generation Z has shown up. Over here, little man. These guys are here. They're longing to find somebody to mentor and model them because the family continues to be fractured. Come on, sir. We want to honor you tonight. Your first name again is?
Wayne.
Wayne. Great. Good to see you. And your first name?
Micah.
Micah. Man, that's a great name. Old Testament. Good stuff. We're beside me if you don't mind. So, 6 to 92. You other Gen Z guys can have a seat. I was in Atlanta, Georgia. Most recently it was 18 to 82. I've had 17 to 74. Very rare to get somebody in their 90s. So first of all, man, thanks for staying up late tonight. I was past your bedtime. So, hey, are you guys over here taking care of him? Is it okay if we call you Pop? Down south we call people Pop.
My grandson.
Good. Son and grandson. Stand up, son and grandson. Okay? Now, my John Deere tractor is going to have some high RPMs tonight. Okay? So I'm telling you that in advance. And so when it gets a little bit challenging, you guys might have to pop these suspenders on Pops tonight so he can hang there with us. But this way past his bedtime. And Micah, you have, school hasn't started yet here, right?
I'm homeschooled,
Oh.
so no.
Okay, good. So we can let you stay up late. But, hey, 6 to 92, here's our spectrum for the East Coast, Wisconsin guys. And yes, this is what I want you to do. Grasp his hand again. Because this is ministry to men. When the 92-year-olds are willing to hang out with the 6-year-olds, and the 6-year-olds recognize the heritage that he represents, and you long to see, as the scripture says, that the older men should teach the younger men. And so we're longing for that to happen amidst all the 5 generations. I awaken every day to see God draw men to the fire. From 6 to 92 is my prayer tonight. Because a spiritual awakening will not fully occur without a spiritual awakening among men. And all the men of God said, Amen. We're going to play a little golf tonight.